I'm surprised I haven't talked about the Owl House before. It's a lovely little animated series that features compelling storylines, great world building, and refreshing representation. I just really appreciate the work that Dana Terrace, the show's creator, and her team have put into crafting the world of Owl House, and I want to celebrate it at least a little bit. Especially given it's being cancelled while it's in its prime. Doesn't fit the Disney brand. Oh, you mean like the gay energy is too strong for the mouse? Regardless, we're gonna try and keep the vibes positive today. There's no real thesis for today's video. I'm just gonna shoot the shit and gush about the show for far too long. So if that sounds good to you, grab a snack and get yourself comfortable, because this is why the Owl House is a hoot. I'm not sorry. To say I adore Luz Noceda would be an understatement. She's such an unapologetically dorky little cinnamon roll who I would absolutely jump into a lake of tar for. She's got the usual traits of your typical teenage protagonist, optimistic, kind, and completely brain dead, but Luz is rather unique given how relentlessly dorky she is, which isn't something you get to see a lot of from female protagonists. I can't quite speak to how well she serves as representation for women leads, but I will say as an NB, I definitely appreciate the fact that she sported a gender non-conforming outfit to a formal event. A fusion of a suit and a dress? You go girl, blur that binary. Oh god, say that 5 times fast. But as a character, so much of her story is about overcoming barriers between herself and learning magic because she's human. She can't use magic naturally like the people of the Boiling Isles, but that doesn't stop her from wanting to learn the craft. And eventually she learns how to use glyphs to cast her spells, and combines them to create entirely new spells. It's a great way to showcase her initiative, her skills, and how barriers people accept as impassable after decades or even centuries of tradition, and in this case propaganda, can be overcome. She's so loving and caring towards the people in her life, but that also drives her to be fiercely protective of them. And given she's grown up an outcast for her interests, she's always rooting for the underdog and challenging unjust systems. It's a perfect example of strength through compassion, and proof that you do not want to fuck with aggressively nice people.
Talk to the glyph, witch!
I still absolutely love the second episode where Luz goes on this wish fulfillment quest where some random old guy is like, "You are the chosen one." And she realizes that her desire to be special and need for external validation were preyed upon by malicious forces. It really hit home given we've all had to unravel that narrative we're given when we grow up that we're the best there ever was, especially in a chaotic world we were never really prepared for. That little talk with Eda at the end of the episode about making your own way instead of waiting to be told what your destiny is, now that is a wonderful, timeless lesson. And I love the fact that even though Luz's mother doesn't really get that geeky part of her, it's still clear that they love each other. That episode where Luz is temporarily able to interact with the human world and they have that touching reunion in the rain, it still fucks me up. It's honest in the fact that parents aren't perfect, but even when they fuck up, they can still have the best intentions at heart. And Luz recognizes that. She isn't resentful of her mother in the slightest. If anything, she probably wishes her mother would try to understand her more, which I'm sure she will given how loving Camila is. Not to mention how protective she was of V, even after discovering she was a basilisk.
I'm the good guy here!
Yeah, a lot of bad guys say that.
Honestly, just give Camila a few minutes with Emperor Belos, and he won't be a problem for anyone ever again. Also want to mention that while I can't speak to Luz's Afro-Latina representation, given my whiteness, I will say it is nice to see a non-white lead in this kind of story. The lead character of my book is actually half Hispanic, Mexican specifically, so seeing how Luz's culture is present while not her entire character definitely helped give me a guide on how to approach writing Felix. Specifically how both Luz and Felix use Spanish as a way to connect to their mothers and express strong emotions.
Deja una luz puesta para mí. Te quiero.
That did involve some work in distinguishing Dominican dialects and cultural aspects from Mexican ones, but it's work well worth the effort. Eda is quite possibly one of my favorite characters from any media. Chaotic, rule-breaking, but still loving.
You're kinda, sorta, banned.
That's my girl!
Though she's been pushed to the fringes of society from both her curse and her unwillingness to join a coven, Eda's still able to find happiness with her own little found family in the woods. Sure, she may be feared as the Owl Lady, but Eda knows who she is. Eda's snark is endlessly entertaining and relatable. She's a lot like Luce in feeling like an outcast, but seems more cynical of the world at large from her experiences, especially with her family. But it's thanks to Luce that she's able to warm up to the idea of trusting people again, and seeing that dynamic of not just the student learning from the teacher, but vice versa, is so heartwarming. But that said, it is clear Eda's still loving through her relationships with King and Hootie. Well, mostly King.
You wanna hear about my night?
No!
That's not a thing anyone ever wants!
Though I do love Hootie, that terrifying owl demon is a goddamn mood.
The roughhousing was fun, but I like this part of our playdates even better.
Fucking weird bird owl tube thing. But seeing how Eda and King have always been there for each other when they had no one else, and how Eda is willing to go to the ends of the earth to get back a goddamn Burger King crown because of how much it means to King, I'm gonna cry, fam.
King and I don't have much in this world. We only have each other. So if that dumb crown is important to him, it's important to me.
But in addition to found family, we also have themes of mending relationships with biological family as well. Lilith ruthlessly clawed her way to the top to excel in the system that Eda rejected, including the curse she'd inflicted upon her own sister. Eda and Lilith are polar opposites, but it's clear that Lilith regrets her actions and just wants to be with her sister.
Join the Emperor's Coven, like we dreamed about when we were girls.
When it's clear that Belos' plan is to kill Eda, that's what makes Lilith turn against the corrupt system she'd previously devoted herself to. And on the note of the curse, I think it's pretty clear that Eda's curse, and now the one that she and Lilith share, works as a metaphor for any kind of chronic or mental illness even.
No one likes having a curse, but yeah, if you take the right steps, it's manageable.
Again, I can't speak from firsthand experience, but I do think it is valuable to see that Eda is able to live with her condition and manage it without losing herself, and that handling it gets much easier alongside others like Luce and eventually her family sharing the burden. And even with Eda's mother turning to alternative medicine, basically serving as a stand-in for parents who forgo actual medical advice from doctors and professionals, and instead turning to pseudoscience, conspiracies, and even pyramid schemes. I mean MLMs.
According to this, we just have to buy the next volume.
Damn, if that's not relevant in today's age, I don't know what is. But it's also nice to see that Eda's mother was able to pull herself out of that trap for the sake of her daughters. It's nice to have a bit of hope sometimes, especially because the show makes the point that people like Gwendolyn aren't bad people at all. Much like Luce's mother, Gwendolyn wants the best for her daughters, but her concern leads her to an overprotectiveness that can be exploited for profit at the cost of her daughter's well-being. Just all around, any story that involves Eda, I'm a fan of. From found family to biological family, and to her becoming a badass magical girl harpy lady. I'm here for that. Oh my god, and Rain. We love some good non-binary rap. Oh, also, when I was watching Hot in Cleveland for the first time, I am not ashamed to admit that every time Wendy Malick spoke, I envisioned Eda in her stead.
I fired one of the 99%, and now she's occupying our living room.
Hot in the boiling aisles. Can we just all agree that it is fantastic to see this kind of LGBT representation in animation, let alone a goddamn Disney show? Like, holy crap, Dana and her team must have fought tooth and nail to have it even involve Luce and Amity calling each other girlfriends, let alone the fact they're both main characters.
Do you want to go out with me? No, I was so ready.
So often, any kind of queer identity is seen as inherently sexual and deviant, even more so than cishet identities. And that's used as an excuse to keep the gay away from the children, which, yeah, that seems to be on the rise, sadly, with certain states' legislatures. But if kids are allowed to have crushes on the opposite sex and it's seen as cute and wholesome, why don't queer kids get the same luxury? Why don't they get to see themselves in their media? Why are they forced to just watch cishets make out all the time? How could you subject the children to Snow White? Think of the children! You and your heterosexual agenda. It's important for kids to see relationships like this, not only for the cishet kids to learn that queer people exist and they're normal, but also for the queer kids to know that their feelings are perfectly normal. Unless you want them to grow up hating themselves, which I'm sure some of those people do actually feel that, they just will never admit it. And yes, I am proud to announce to all of the Protect the Children people that queer children do in fact exist. But no one thinks to protect them from homophobia or transphobia or whatever else, do they? In any case, I want to thank Dana and her team for the work that they've done with Owl House's representation. I know it could not have been easy trying to get that past fucking Disney, of all things. Oh, also thank y'all for Rain. Again, my non-binary heart feels very much seen. It's so refreshing that these kinds of feelings are explicitly discussed and confirmed instead of the usual subtext. Granted, subtext historically has been the only way for decades to portray same-sex relationships and queer identities in mainstream media, but certain other properties that have way more freedom seem to use that as a crutch to avoid delivering actual representation. Y'all know what show I'm shading. Admittedly, Luce and Amity don't use the words gay or bi or anything like that, but the fact that they even have romantic feelings for each other clearly, and that they're dating and that they call each other their girlfriends, is a huge milestone. I will say though, you can say gay. Disney might not let you, but it is possible to say gay and other things.
I'm gay.
Oh. Oh, I totally misread your signals.
Thank you, Kipo, for Benson's entire existence. I need to talk about Kipo. Kipo deserved better. Kipo was good shit. And even beyond the representation factor, these characters' relationship is so compelling. Legit, this alone has made me fall in love with the enemies to lovers trope. Seeing how Luce is able to get Amity to open up and reflect on what she actually wants, and seeing Amity put in the work to breaking away from her family's control is delightful. And Owl House also confirms that you can have characters date during the show and not have them repeat tired toxic tropes while actually giving them genuine conflict to work around. Once they start dating, we see them struggle to communicate with each other or support each other, but they always put in the work to learn what to do, then talk about their issues openly, because they want to be there for each other.
I know this situation is crazy, and I'm okay taking things one day at a time. But I can't help if I don't know what's going on.
No dumb jealousy plots, no unnecessary miscommunications, none of that to be seen. And thank God. And even then, I'm just grateful they didn't drag out the slow burn the whole way through the show to keep them from confirming their relationship until the very last second. Again, like a certain other 3D show will probably wind up doing. Oh, and I also love the fact that there's just no homophobia in the show. Queer people have enough of that bullshit to deal with in real life. We'd like to just be able to have a normal existence in our media to keep ourselves sane, please. That's why we have shows like Pose, to deal with real-world issues.
I'm sorry that you won't allow yourself to see me.
Pose is also good. Oh my god, y'all should watch Pose. Pose is good shit. Also, Luce's best bisexual disaster. I love her so much. This section is going to be sort of a catch-all for other characters I haven't talked about, namely these three dorks. I don't have much to say about Gus, but I would die for him. He's such a little goofball that I can't help but find his obsession with the human world precious. I would like more Gus content, please. Willow, though, a queen. We love a nature character who is clearly a powerhouse, but only shows off that power when the situation calls for it. Also, loved seeing her childhood friendship with Amity, with all the nuance of how it fell apart due to Amity's awful family. Good lord, I want to fight her mom. That episode where Luce and Amity go into Willow's memories to see the truth of what went down, followed by Amity trying to make things up to Willow. Oh my god, we love character development. And also the mindscapes, holy fuck, what a brilliant idea. Oh my fucking god, that's still shook, especially after Hollow Mind. Oh my god, we won't talk about it here, but Hollow Mind fucked me up. Also, love the twins. Edric and Emra are absolutely chaotic, teasing the shit out of Amity while clearly loving and supporting her. Oh, and they also absolutely knew Lumity was a slow burn, and they were here for it. And I would absolutely deserve to be smited if I did not talk about Hunter. Oh my god, this doofus is so adorable! And oh my god, again, Hollow Mind, he's been through some shit. Even when he was introduced as the Golden Guard, his sassiness and teasing made him an immediate favorite for me. I love a villain who's having a good time.
The Emperor is not a merciful man. Bye!
But learning more about his true identity, why he's so devoted to Belos, yet seeing how he really just needs connections with others. Oh my god, this boy needs so many hugs! And also to be adopted by Darius, like, immediately. And therapy. Actually, yeah, he does genuinely feel like Zuko, except replace the angst with tomfoolery. Part of why I love this show is its world building. As an original setting, it does pull from traditional fantasy tropes of wizards, witches, and the usual magical creatures, but it presents them in a rather grim way that feels almost 80s Labyrinth and how terrifying it would be to a normal child.
Hello, little fairy. Are you going to tell me this is all a fantastical dream? Give me your skin!
Gimme Your Skin lives rent-free in my head. And I love that. I'm here for the twisted shit to give the kids a good scare. Except for the pain bows. Those genuinely sound disgusting.
We have plagues, tornadoes, shale hail, painbows.
It's like a rainbow, but looking at it turns you inside out.
Then there's the magic system. Admittedly, I struggled with this a bit when writing my own book, especially when it comes to how it would be integrated into a functioning society, but I love the coven system in Owl House. It basically presents magical approaches to everyday needs, and has witches dedicating themselves to one track to join said covens. It feels very pragmatic, like this could actually help the world of the Boiling Isles exist. But where it gets sinister is how Belos uses the coven system to control the Isles. Every witch naturally can use multiple types of magic, but when they join a coven, all but one type is sealed away, essentially to keep them in line and make them less likely to stand up against the Emperor's forces. Oh god, Hollow Mind really just... it changes you. Especially given the Emperor's coven, wielding all forms of magic, would quickly quash any resistance. Owl House said all cops are bastards, goddamn. On a lighter note, palismans are adorable! I'm sorry, I need something nice to make me want to die less.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much.
They're such a charming idea, blending the aesthetics of wood carving and crafting with having cute little familiars to strengthen your magic. It's a brilliant twist on magical companions that also works for the fucked up world building given Belos, murders them to sustain himself. Oh my god, what the hell is Hollow Mind? But thank god for the Bat Queen, protecting all the orphan palismans. That episode still fucks me up. Every episode fucks me up. If it's not clear, I adore this show. I am so sad that it's going to be over soon, especially given season 3 is just supposed to be a bunch of specials instead of a full season? What the hell? Even so, I'm grateful for what we've gotten, and I hope more shows follow in Owl House's footsteps in pushing the boundaries of classic genres. More weird shit, more gay shit, just more chaotic fun, please.
Griffins, vampires, giraffes.
Giraffes?
Oh yeah, we banished those guys. A bunch of freaks.
Also hope y'all enjoyed this more chaotic video. It was kind of nice just letting myself ramble instead of, the usual, I must have a point. I need to watch Amphibia. I've heard really good shit about Amphibia too, oh my god. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this from me, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications because YouTube hates creators. Also, please consider, if you are willing and able, pledging your support over on Patreon for myself and the channel, and checking out my debut urban fantasy novel, Disenerbus from the Ashes, on Amazon and wherever else books are sold. I'm the Unicorn of War, and Lumity is everything Bumblebee should have been and more.